Welcome to the Parent Academy to Go. My name is Norca Padilla, and I'm an instructional specialist with Montgomery County Public Schools. This evening's workshop is Just Breathe, Mental Health Maintenance for Students. Thank you to Mariah Cruz, our presenter this evening. And participants, we ask you to keep yourself on mute, and we invite you to share your video, as it's comforting to us in the community to see each other during this social distancing. And please feel free throughout the evening to write your questions in the chat. Mariah will be monitoring the chat as well as along with us, and we will be answering those questions throughout the evening. Thank you again for being here. We hope everyone's safe, and thank you, Mariah. The presentation will begin now.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. It is so awesome to be a participant here partnering with the Montgomery County Public School System. This is amazing, and I am so excited. What I like to do whenever I start any presentation, especially in this virtual season, is to begin with a game. And we have our lovely Miss Kelly, who is going to share her screen, and then we're going to go ahead and play the game. So grab your phone or your iPad, whatever it is that you're not using to do the Zoom, and join us as we play one of my favorite games, Kahoot. And I'll be playing with you all as well. Awesome. So now that, thank you, Ms. Kelly, for doing this for me. As you see on the screen, you can either go to www.kahoot.it, or if you have a student who already has the app, go ahead and go to the app and just type in that code that is on your screen. And I think I do have it set up where it automatically chooses your nickname. So you won't have to have that agony of trying to figure out what to call yourself. It'll just automatically select it for you. So go ahead and take some time and go to the website and dial in that PIN number that's on the screen. Oh, maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Okay. I'll give you guys some time here. And if you have any questions or any trouble logging on, don't hesitate to either drop it in the chat or to just let us know. Okay. All right, I'll give it maybe one more minute, and then Kelly, you can take it away. All righty, I know that wasn't a full minute, but what do you guys think? You want to give them some more time, or do you want to go ahead? Let's go. All right, awesome. Thank you, Kelly, whenever you're ready. All right, here we go. Question 1, what is stress? So all you have to do is go ahead and click the corresponding, oh, awesome, y'all got it, amen. Awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Oh, no one clicked ask for advice. That's interesting. Oh, I didn't even click it. I feel like it's not fair. I'm not going to play anymore, guys, because I know the answers. Awesome. Is too much stress bad for your health? This one's an easy one. Do you guys remember, do you guys watch Grey's Anatomy? Has anybody seen Grey's Anatomy before? Okay, well, there's like a moment that always happened in the earlier seasons where Meredith Grey and Christina Yang would just dance it out. Like they would just have a dance party. And so that's why I put that up there. That's Grey's Anatomy circa 2005. Mm-hmm. Yep, all of those are great ways for you to keep your stress under control. Awesome. I know that we had someone just join us. We're wrapping up our Kahoot game, but go ahead and try to answer the questions yourself and see how right you are. Awesome. Go for a walk. That's a great one. That's a great one. Then the last question. 2020, exactly. The entire 2020, all of it. All of it. Awesome. So I just wanted to, and Kelly, you can stop sharing your screen for the moment. But that was just a fun way for us to just kind of see where we all stand about what we know so far about stress and how it impacts us, and just a great way to see that we kind of all are on the same page when it comes to what stresses us out, when it comes to how we deal with stress. A lot of you all said that you all take walks. I need to take more walks. I don't take enough walks. But yes, there are all of these great ways that we can manage our stress. And that's why I'm so excited to be speaking with you all today, so we can think through how we can help our young people to manage their stress as well. I want us to take a look at a quick video. It's from one of my favorite childhood movies. It's called A Bug's Life. And we're gonna look at, I don't wanna spoil it, but I want us to just pay attention to the way that they react to an obstacle, okay? Sister Kelly, whenever you're ready. Miss Kelly, I'm not able to hear it. I don't know if you all are, and I'm just not.
Norca is the one with the shade.
Oh, Miss Norca, I'm sorry.
Fine.
Well, while we wait to figure out the sound, I'll just, oh, we got it? Did we figure it out?
And then that's how
Oh, I just hear tiny humans.
not as I was expecting for. That's what not what you were.
Miss Norca, are you able to fix the sound, or do you want me to talk it through? I can talk it through. I'm totally fine with that. Just let me know. We don't want you to be stressed, Miss Norca. We're avoiding stress.
Compared to the fleet of 93. That's it.
So Miss Norca, how about we just start it over and I can talk it through, since we can't fix the audio.
Oh no! I'm lost! Where's the line? It just went away. What do I do? Help! We'll be stuck here forever. Do not panic. Do not panic. We are trained professionals. Now stay calm. We are going around the leaf. Around the leaf? I don't think we can do that. Oh, nonsense. This is nothing compared to the twig of 93. That's it. That's it. Good. You're doing great. There you go. There you go. Watch my eyes. Don't look away. And here's the line again. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soil. Good job, everybody.
Oh my, there's quite a gap, Mr. Soil. Shouldn't we tell the Queen?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Miss Norca.
Really
Oh, we have a lovely commercial.
Watching videos, but it can have certain advantages. What if your child be kept busy, have fun?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Norca, for fixing that and working that out for us. It worked out great. I love that clip, and it's a clip that I often use when teaching my students about how to deal with stress. One of the major things that I encourage them to do is to gain perspective. So what did you guys see take place in that video? I know it was a little bit hard to hear, but you could tell that the ants were walking in a straight line, and then a leaf kind of fell and blocked their path. What did you see? Like, what types of reactions did you guys see?
They were like panicked at first.
Right, exactly. They were super panicked. One of them said, "We're lost," and another one of them said, like, "We'll never get back." Like it was the end of the world for them, right? And then there was someone who had a little bit more perspective, someone who had experienced some things, who had been through some things. I think they said, like, "This is nothing compared to blah blah blah." I don't know what it was that they said exactly, but he did say, "This is nothing compared to what I've already dealt with. This is nothing compared to what I've already overcome." And one of the things I try to encourage students to do is to talk to someone else, talk to a counselor, talk to a parent or guardian, and just have a conversation, because oftentimes things that they think will break them or break them down and ruin their whole entire life, just like those ants thought that the world was ending. Sometimes students can feel that the world is just coming to an end. And so it's so important for them to be in contact with and be connected to persons who can give them some perspective, so that they can have hope and faith that they will be able to get through even their crazy panic moments, okay? So I just like to start with a fun clip, so that we can just kind of loosen up as we dive into the topic that we will be discussing today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my presentation. And again, I am so excited to be doing this. I'm so excited to be a part. Are you all able to see the presentation? If you just give me a thumbs up. Ooh, then I'll know for sure. Awesome. So I am Mariah Cruz. I am a youth director in Silver Spring, at a mega church in Silver Spring. And I work with about, I think we have 150 to 200 students. And so I deal primarily with teens and college students, though I do have experience in working with K through 12 as well. So the younger K through 5 as well. So the younger ages. So I'm going to be, awesome. So a little bit about why we are here today, what drew me to this, why I'm so passionate about lowering stress, especially among young people. We had 2 students over the last, I think, 2 years. Well, time has shifted since the quarantine, but over the last couple of years, we've had a couple of students that grappled with deep depression, deep anxiety, and we actually had one student who attempted suicide. And so that was what sparked my interest in where it comes from, where that depression comes from, and how we can best speak to those things and make sure that they know that they have everything that they need to get through even their dark seasons, and understand that stress comes at all different ages. So it's not just the high school students, it's not even just the middle school students, it's all ages. And kids are very aware of what is going on in society today. And I'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. Oh, right here. I'm sorry. So yes, so there's a lot going on. I know my head is covered, but I want you guys to see what the screen says. We're living in a very unprecedented time, right? There's a lot going on in the news. There's a lot going on in society. Maybe if I move over here. There I go. There's a lot going on in society, and kids are aware of this, right? Kids are seeing it. Kids are witnessing this, and they are stressed. They're stressed out, and they're trying to adjust and trying to figure out how best to exist in this newly virtual world. I have a lot of students who are all of our students are back in virtual learning, but I have college students who were so looking forward to being on campuses, right? And getting that first year experience, but they're not able to do that because of the pandemic and the virus. They're not able to actually experience the things that they had been planning and preparing to experience. And the same can be said for all of us, right? There are certain things that we expected to be experiencing at this point in 2020. We expected certain things to be happening in our lives, and those things just aren't able to happen anymore. And then also we have the election. There's just a lot going on, right? And students, there was a survey done, I believe it was last year, where students were asked to just kind of grade their mental health. And they were asked this before and after schools were closed. And before the pandemic, it says, the survey said that over 65% of students gave themselves a 7% or higher as it relates to good mental health. Right? So a 10 was great mental health, and then a 0 was poor mental health. And 65% of students gave themselves a 7. But after the pandemic, it dropped to less than 40. And that's a major shift. That's a very, very, very major shift, especially considering that students are already at a high level of stress just in trying to exist, right? They already have to deal with the everyday things that they normally have to deal with, but you add to that everything that's going on in society, and it just bumps that stress level up to a whole other notch. And so students are stressed, and it's just so important for us to figure out how to speak to that, especially in this virtual season when they're not able to connect in the way that they're used to connecting. Okay. So I want us to go through a couple of the typical signs of student anxiety. Most notably, I want us to talk about the social changes that they can experience, because it'll look different. It'll be different than it would be if they were going to school every single day, if they were getting out of the house every single day in a much more common way. But that's just not happening. And so the way that we look for those things will be different. But the first one, of course, is emotional changes. So if you notice your student is sad more often than usual, or even if you notice your student overly happy, even in seasons or in times when can be stressful, or in times where they typically aren't as happy. Oftentimes some students can cope by covering their stress. They can cope by hiding how they feel. And so they'll pretend to be happy even when they're not. So be paying attention to how they react to certain situations, and be mindful of the way that they respond. Is this the way that they always respond to this type of situation? Are they angry about the remote, or are they really angry because they're not able to talk to their friends as much as they want to? You see what I'm saying? Like, there are subtle differences, there are subtle changes, but if you're paying attention and if you're just being mindful of the way that they're reacting to certain situations. And I always remember my mother used to tell me she knew that I was going through something when I started getting upset. And that's why I use the remote example. When I started freaking out because I couldn't find the remote, like I had a whole complete temper tantrum because I just could not find the remote. I was like yelling and carrying on. I was super upset. And in reality, once she sat me down and had a conversation, I was upset because my friend and I were going through something. Like we were having an argument about something that I can't even remember it today, right? But she was able to see that I was having an abnormal reaction to something that I would not normally have that reaction to. So be mindful of those emotional changes. The social changes is different. And that's different because we don't get to see our students interact with other students in the way that we used to, right? Because of the pandemic, students just aren't interacting with one another in the way that they used to. And so we won't be able to see a student kind of turn in upon themselves. We won't be able to see a student pull away from the rest of the group. And so we have to look differently at the social changes. It'll manifest itself in a different way. So like we've all been aware, we've all seen that school is inherently virtual, right? And all of the other things are still virtual. Well, at least for my students, I don't know if you all have had in real life football practices or anything, but a lot of my students have been doing at home two-a-days and at home types of things, you know? And so the social changes in those arenas would be them not wanting to do it, not wanting to participate in the practices, not wanting to participate in the virtual learning of the routines for my students that are dancers and cheerleaders. So pay attention in the way that they desire to participate. And then also give grace when it comes to that, just because it can be overwhelming when all their life is Zoom. It can be overwhelming. So it's a bit of a shift. It's a bit of a balancing act, but you know your students and you know what they're passionate about. And so if you find that your student who was once extremely passionate about ballet now no longer wants to show up to those rehearsals, no longer wants to learn that routine, just check in with them, touch base with them and see if there's something else going on behind that. A lot of these other ones are very frequently mentioned. Physical changes, if your student starts to overeat or does not eat as much as they used to, that can be a sign of anxiety. Sleep disturbance, if they're not sleeping enough, not getting enough sleep or waking up exhausted. That's one that's interesting. If they sleep through the night, but then still wake up exhausted, still wake up tired, oftentimes students' anxiety can just kind of build up in their sleep. And so when they wake up, they're still exhausted, they're drained because they've been anxious and stressed, even as they were supposed to be relaxing and de-stressing. And so poor school performance, again, that's a little bit of a tricky one, much in the same way social changes has shifted. School performance is going to be tricky because it's all virtual, right? And so the way that they interact with their teachers, the way that they interact with their friends in school, all of that has shifted for them. And so sometimes it might not be that they're completely overwhelmed with stress. It might just be that they haven't all the way adjusted, but still check in with them because it's a thin line, right? And so we just want to check in with our students. If we see them pulling away or just not being as involved in school. Again, it's virtual, so it's tricky, but just check in with them. Panic attacks, if your student just completely starts to, I've seen students start to shake when they get anxious, like just a little bit like a little twinge or something, if you start to notice that in your student. But panic attacks can manifest themselves in different ways. It doesn't always have to be a bodily function, but it could just be a moment where they shut down, where they just don't talk, no longer engage. That can be a sign that they're having a panic attack as well, which is up there, checking out, refusing to participate, tantrums, and then perfectionism, when your student wants to make everything absolutely perfect, will not stop, will not give up until everything is absolutely perfect. Encourage them and remind them that it's okay to be human. Perfectionism can be very detrimental to a person's health, mental and emotional. And then pessimism. This one, again, is extremely important considering the current climate. There's a lot, like I've said, there's just so much going on. And it can be easy for our young people to lose hope. Especially when they're not able to, there's a certain level of comfort that comes from connection, right? And we've all experienced that, where we have conversations with our friends, with our family members, and it allows us to decompress, right? It allows us to release some of the stress that we've been holding on to in a way that we aren't necessarily able to do with like our parents or with those. They need friendship too, right? And so when they become pessimistic, when they start to only see the bad, not able to connect with people, not able to see how they can get through certain things, that's where that perspective, remember from the video, that's where that perspective can be so helpful. When you see your student start to become extremely pessimistic, remind them that there is hope and that they will get through this, that you are with them, and that you all will get through this together. And then just remember that everyone is different. Just because you experience stress in one way, you handle stress in one way, does not necessarily mean that your student will handle that stress in the same way. And so getting to know your student, watching them, and seeing how they shift and how they adjust, but most notably seeing how they react when things change, or when they're even in their daily routine. If you start to notice something different in their daily routine, that could be just a sign that something is going on, something deeper is going on with them. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, escapism. So this one's big. So this one I actually had to learn for myself. This is where students kind of lose themselves in whatever activity it is that they are doing. For most students, a lot of young boys tend to lose themselves in Fortnite. And there's another game that's out now, I forget the name of it, but they just completely immerse themselves so much so in the game that they're removed from real life, right? Like they're just so completely removed from real life. And it's okay to have fun, right? It's okay to play your video games. It's okay to go on social media, but that should not take over their lives. They have to make sure that they're getting out. They have to make sure that they're having conversations with people outside of the game world. And the same is true for television. So I said, as I said, this definitely hit home for me. It's because television is one of the things that I used to use to escape. And we don't think about it, right? Sometimes we just need to decompress. And so we put on an episode of Golden Girls. That's my favorite show. We put on an episode of Golden Girls, and then we're just watching Golden Girls. And then before you know it, the whole day has been gone. And you've just wasted a whole day watching Golden Girls, and you haven't done anything productive, and everything that was stressing you out before you took that break is still there, right? We haven't addressed it. We haven't fixed it. And the same is true for our young people, right? So they can lose themselves. They can forget that they actually have a real life to live, and be focused on the games, and be focused on the television show, and be focused on Instagram. And that's not okay. We have to make sure that they're limiting that time, that they're limiting that video time, that screen time rather. And so that they're actually engaged in their real life, that they're actually present and what's going on in the day-to-day. Okay, so the next thing that I like to encourage parents is to ensure that you're setting a good example, right? So sometimes we can forget that students are always watching us, that our young people are always watching us. So they're watching you in the way that you react to stressful situations. The same world that they're living in is the same world that you're living in, and they know that there's a lot going on in the world. So it doesn't make sense for you to hide it. It makes sense for y'all to have a conversation about it. Open up the floor, allow them to speak to you so they can hear from you how you're dealing with everything, right? And then set a good example, establish healthy habits. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a couple slides, but establish healthy habits so that they can learn from you. Show them the best ways, the healthy ways to cope. And that doesn't mean, like I said, I don't want you to feel that you can't feel how you need to feel, right? If it is that you're overwhelmed, feel overwhelmed. If it is that you're stressed out, feel that stress, but make sure that you're just showing them how to cope through it, right? How to live through it so that it's not so overwhelming that you can't function, but so that you can teach them how to deal with it properly, right? And how to manage it properly so that it's not causing them to not function, right? We want them to learn and develop healthy habits. The next thing, so I touched on social media briefly, but The Social Dilemma is it's actually a movie that's on Netflix right now. I'm gonna come all the way behind this because it's just awkward right now. Okay, so The Social Dilemma is a movie that's actually on Netflix that details, the detriments to social media. And it talks specifically about young people. It specifically focuses on Generation Z. And it talks about how negatively it's affecting them. And what I thought was so interesting and what I want us to share, hold on, I see. Okay. What I want us to address just a little bit is that the origin of social media was never intended to be a detriment, right? It was never intended to completely take the place of of real life interaction. But over time, it has just become the more we get engaged on social media, the less we are engaged with real people, right? And the origin of the like button was originally, it was supposed to just bring light into the world. It was supposed to encourage people and put a smile on people's faces. But as I'm sure that you all have seen too, some students take it personally when they don't get a certain number of likes, right? Some students take it personally when they don't have a certain number of followers, when they don't get the reaction that they want from the people that are following them on social media. And that can be a huge detriment to their own self-image. And it can affect the way that they view themselves, and how they value themselves, and how they think the world values them. Does that make sense? And so we have to be mindful that if your students are on social media, that we're encouraging them to know that this is not what dictates their worth, and that this thing is not what dictates their value in society. It's supposed to be something that's fun. And remember, you're gonna have to have these conversations and know that they're not gonna be upfront with you right at the beginning, right? They're not gonna sit there and say at the first conversation, yeah, mom, like that, the fact that I didn't get 150 likes really hurt my feelings. They're not gonna say that. You have to have these conversations with them so that they can feel comfortable letting you know that, yeah, this does affect me. And then you guys can have that conversation and think through how to combat that, and just establish a sense of value that comes outside of social media. They just place so much value on social media, and it can be a source of good. It just has to be moderated, and it just has to be followed up with you, right? And with those that love them, encouraging them and reminding them that their value comes from within, and they just simply cannot be validated by social media. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so a lot of things have changed since I was in high school. I graduated in 2010, actually from Prince George's County, so not too far down the street. Technology has had a drastic uptick, but as much as things have changed, that things have still very much stayed the same, right? It's just the way that the students are experiencing things that has shifted. So I wrote down three examples that just kind of stood out to me. So bullying has always existed. That's not something that's new. That's not something that students are just now experiencing. It's just something that's much more prevalent and much more easily accessible than it was back when we were younger, right? So where when we were younger, when we were in school, we could experience bullying, and then you go home and you wouldn't necessarily experience bullying anymore, right? But on the computer, it's nonstop. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you have access to your phone or to a computer, you have access to being cyberbullied. There's no stop to it, right? And that's much more traumatic, right? It's just never ending. It's consistent. And then the makeup versus filters. So when I was younger, I wasn't able to put makeup on until I was like, I think 16 or 17 or something. I cheated. I think I did it when I was 15, but like I wasn't supposed to do it, right? Until I was 16 years old. But now they don't have the makeup issue, right? They can just pop a filter on and look 10 years older, right? And so it's like these things have always existed. It's just the way that they're experiencing them is very, very different. And so as we think through reacting and helping our students to deal with these shifts and deal with these stressors, we have to understand that we already have common ground, right? We've been through similar things. It's just manifesting itself differently. And it's that same perspective thing, thing that we saw with A Bug's Life. It's so important for you to have these conversations with your young people and let them know that even though the experience is different, right? I still went through something similar to what you're going through, and I'm here for you. I understand where you're coming from, and I want you to get through this, and I'm here for you, and I will help you get through this, okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Oh, I talked about this already, but we talked about the likes and how it was originally intended to be a positive thing, and how it just kind of got warped over time. Self-image is a major pull on our young people. There is a heightened demand on them to look a certain way, and to what, like I said earlier, to get a certain number of likes, and they feel insecure when that doesn't happen for them. When they don't get the number of likes, they start to feel insecure, and it's very damaging. And so again, just being mindful that we're encouraging them constantly and authentically, right? Reminding them that they are powerful, reminding them that they are beautiful, reminding them that they are strong, and just encouraging them to know that how valuable they are, right? Outside of these qualifiers that can be found on social media. Okay. Any questions? All good? Awesome. Okay. Next comes my favorite part. What can we do? How can we help them? How can we help our young people to adjust and to cope and to deal with all of these stressors? The first thing is to create a safe space. So important for your student to feel comfortable sharing with you their struggles and sharing with you what is bothering them, what is stressing them. And what I encourage parents to do is to just set the tone where they can just talk, just a space where you'll just listen. Don't try to solve the problem right away. Just give them an opportunity to open up to you and tell you what they're experiencing. I know often we started with, how was your day? And I know students are typically one-liners, like, oh, it was good, and then they think that's it. Yes, I would ask a follow-up question, but let them know that you're listening, that you're not here to judge them, that you just want to hear about their day, about their life, right? Just be creating a safe space where they can feel comfortable to have that conversation. I put here the godmom story. So I would often not talk to my mom about certain things. I don't know if you guys had this as well, but I would go to my godmother, right? Like I didn't tell my mom, about a guy I was interested in or anything like that, because that's my mom, right? But my mom had created had another person that she trusted and that I trusted that I was also able to go to. So finding someone who your student can trust is very important as well, because there are just certain things that your student is not gonna want to talk to you about, right? And that's normal. Like that's normal for teenagers and young people to feel like they can't always tell their parents about every single thing. And that's okay, but making sure that you have someone that they can go to. And as I'm saying this, I'm reminded of the fact that a lot of students did get that in person when they were in school, right? And so being intentional about finding even a therapist or someone they can speak to virtually that creates a safe space for them, because they don't have the opportunity to have those conversations in person like they did even last year. So being intentional about finding someone that both of you all trust. And then I think I have that up here, but just normalizing that it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to go to a licensed therapist. I have 2 websites up on the screen, but I'll make sure to email them if you all need me to. But counseling.org has a great space where you can find licensed therapists. Specifically, it's based on state, but also it's based on ages, which is awesome. And then the American Psychological Association is also a great one to find licensed therapists. And then also, I'm not sure, but does Montgomery County have a list or anything like of school counselors, anything like that? Ms. Norca or Ms. Kelly, do you all know? Is that something offered?
Yes, and we have a whole sort of support system as well as in the schools. So right now, every single school has a wellness team, ensuring that everybody has the support that they need.
Awesome. Yes. So taking advantage of those offerings, all of those things that are available to your student, just ensuring that they have someone that they can go to, that they can have those conversations with when it seems as though they're not quite able to fully open up with you. Okay. The next thing, encouraging healthy walks is a major thing. Doing things together is awesome. And so at the beginning, whenever we played the game, I noticed that quite a few people do like to take walks to de-stress. That is awesome. I think that speaks to 2 different things. That speaks to healthy living, and it also speaks to de-stressing, right? Mental and emotional de-stressing and calming. Going for walks together is just a great way to encourage healthy mental, right? Healthy mental health. That's not what I want to say. To encourage good mental health. Healthy eating, of course. I like to encourage parents to cook, like have a dinner night where you all cook together a healthy meal, even having them suggest the healthy meal, emphasis on healthy, encouraging them to cook healthily. And then encouraging healthy friendships, being mindful of who your child is connected to. I cannot stress that enough, because no matter how much you try to, guide them in the right path, lead them in the right direction, they can be connected to the wrong person, and that can cause them to go off track. So encouraging them to be connected to the right type of people, the right friends, is very important. Doing something fun with your student, trying to encourage just a laugh, right? Like we need laughter now more than ever. It releases endorphins and allows you to feel better, right? Just simply feel better. And then the last thing, that I have is just to give back to the community. It makes us feel better to contribute. That's just something that's in our DNA. And it doesn't even have to be anything that requires you to leave your house. I know Riderwood gives you the opportunity to do check-ins with some of their elderly, persons at the assisted living facility at Riderwood, because in this season, a lot of the older generation hasn't been able to connect with people, right? And they're seeking and desiring that connection. And so if you encourage, a day where you all can just call in and check on a couple of them, and there's a way to do it through Riderwood, and just have that's a way to give back to the community as well. That doesn't even require you to leave the house. Okay. The last thing is to treat yourself. That's from another show. I like to use show references. I work with kids, y'all. But treat yourself. Take care of yourself. That will encourage your students to do the same. So I said a little bit earlier why it's so important for us to model the proper way to handle stress for our students. It's so important because they feed off of your energy. Have you all ever been to a meeting where the person that was leading the meeting was very monotone and very dry, and you just kind of like, it was taking all of you to just stay awake in that meeting, right? It's because it's contagious. Like the person that's at the head is going to, the way that they interact with people is contagious. And that's the same for your household, right? So if you are calm, if you are relaxed, if you are peaceful, they will feed off of that. If you are overly stressed, if you aren't handling the stress properly, they'll feed off of that as well. And so being mindful of how you are modeling and how you are existing around your students is extremely important. And then encouraging some practices where you all can practice mindfulness and meditation together. And we're going to do we have a little bit of time. We're going to do a practice together in just a moment, but it's awesome to have that experience with your student as well, okay? To just have it be not a communal, but a family experience where you all sit and gather yourselves and center yourselves and calm yourselves, okay? All right. Now it's time for us to get into the practices. So there are a couple different types of meditation. As you can see, it's on the screen, it's spiritual mantra, which is speaking a thing over and over. So like, I am powerful, like repeating a mantra over and over is a practice of meditation. Mindfulness is one of the meditations that has been becoming more prevalent in our society. I've seen it kind of showing up much more often than it used to. And there are several apps, and I have them on a later page, but I'm sure that some of you all are already familiar, but that's my favorite one, practicing mindfulness. Focus, meaning focused on different aspects of yourself or different aspects of the environment around you. So being focused, listening into the birds, right? Or listening into the waves, right? Or like if you have the audio of a wave or the audio of like dolphins or something like that, that would be a focus thing where you're focused on one specific thing for a set period of time and just allowing yourself to decompress. Movement, that's more like yoga and those types of exercises that allow you to exercise while also centering your mind. And then the last is visualization. And I have examples there just because sometimes I think we disconnect the two, right? Like we see visualization and then we hear about the manifestation thing that's going around everywhere. I've had so many students ask me about how to manifest, but it's really just a type of visualization. It's really just you taking some time and visualizing something specific. So when it comes to the secret and the manifestation thing, they're visualizing like, I don't know, a new car, I don't know what it is, but what visualizing at its core is like you just taking yourself to a different space. So for me, it's the ocean. So I can visualize like myself at the beach, right? And it'll calm me. That's like a place that I can like think about, and it'll just calm my whole entire like spirit. It'll just relax me and allow me to be more peaceful. So that's what visualization is, okay? And then trying to wrap up so we have a little bit of time. So these are the apps that I use the Calm app primarily, but there's also Headspace. And the Prezl application won't allow me to include the GIF and in a way that it'll let it move. But I don't know if you can see, but in the center of this rainbow circle, it says inhale. And so what the GIF does, I don't know if I'm pronouncing GIF right. I never really say the word, but what it does is as it expands, it'll say inhale and it'll kind of grow, right? And so you inhale as it grows, and then it switches and says exhales, and then it shrinks. Right. And so I love that. I send that to my students because it's very simple. It's very easy. And you just send it to them and just tell them, just do this, just calm yourself and just breathe in and breathe out. And it's really simple and it's very cute. And they have a whole bunch of different versions of this that are really, really cool. And it's just really simple and fun. It's a nice little thing that you can send to your student, especially if you know that they're stressed, especially if you start to see them exhibiting signs of anxiety, like, hey, let's do this together real quick. Like it takes like 5 seconds and it's super fun. But Calm is definitely the one that I really like. They have targeted for age groups as well. They have targeted types of meditation, which I think is really awesome because, our students don't, as we've experienced, our students don't react to things always in the same way that we do. And so they need a different type of meditation that speaks to where they are. And Calm does have that. So those are Calm and Headspace are the two applications that I think that you all should check out. And then as we're wrapping up on time, I wanted us to go ahead and try a meditation together. So it's only 3 minutes long. And then we'll wrap up. I didn't see many questions. Oh, awesome. Hey, yay, Calm. I see people using Calm. Okay, cool. And I will try to figure out how to send it. Oh, I can just pop the GIF in an email to you, Miss Norca, and a couple others. That's my favorite one. The circle one is the one that I like the best, but there are a couple others. And so let's go ahead and it's a 3-minute meditation. So this is what I want us to do. First, let's close our eyes. And I want us to pause. Take a deep breath and place your feet flat on the floor beneath you. And if you're sitting in your bed, if you're sitting somewhere, then just try to cross your legs. Just try to be as close to the center of where you are as you can. Okay. Now I want you to place your hands on your stomach and take a deep breath. I want you to notice your stomach rising and falling with each breath. And now I want us to breathe in together for a count of 4 and breathe out for a count of 8. Starting now. In, 2, 3, 4, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you feel comfortable, I want you to place your hands on your thighs, on your legs. And I want you to center yourself. Allow yourself to relax. Now, as you keep breathing deeply, I want you to breathe in again, this time for a count of 5. And then I want us to hold our breath for a count of 5. And then we'll breathe out. Ready? In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 2, 3, 4, 5. I want us to do that breathing one more time. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Now I want you to bring your attention back to the room. Notice the sounds around you and open your eyes. Okay, so that's just a quick meditation. It's just very, very simple, calming, and I already feel a little bit lighter, a little bit better, but it's just so important for us to take some time to ourselves and breathe, So important for us to take some time to breathe. And that's all that I have for you guys today. I know it's 6:52, so I hope I'm okay on time. But if anyone has any questions, go ahead and now is the time. Go ahead and feel free to ask. Ms. Norka, did you have anything you wanted to?
No, I just invite everybody to go to gallery view and take yourselves off mute and show your cameras if you'd like to ask questions. At this time, I can certainly end our recording, and thank you very, very, very much. Mariah Cruz, you've been a phenomenal hostess. We appreciate this very much. And thank you to all of our community members who've been here this evening. You'll see that there is a form for you to complete in the chat, which we would very much appreciate. And if you would like to join us for future workshops and see our schedule, please visit our website, which is Montgomery County Public Schools, and you'll see Parent Academy.